Elena Vasquez had learned long ago that the world judged a book by its cover, and she had decided, somewhere along the way, to let it. She stepped out of the taxi that Friday morning wearing a plain white linen shirt tucked loosely into wide-leg beige trousers, her dark hair pulled back in a low bun with a few strands falling across her face. No jewelry except for a simple gold watch, her mother's. No designer bag swinging from her arm. Just a worn canvas tote that held a notebook, her phone, and half a granola bar she hadn't finished on the ride over. She stood on the pavement outside Meridian Tower and looked up at the building the way someone might look up at a mountain they had planted with their own hands. 42 floors of glass and steel. Her glass. Her steel. She was early, which was unusual for a Friday. The board meeting wasn't until 10. But she liked to walk the floors before the noise started, before the assistants and executives and performance reviews filled the air with a particular kind of tension that money always manufactured. She liked the building when it was still half asleep, when the cleaning staff nodded at her in the elevator and the coffee machine in the break room gurgled like something alive. These were the hours when she remembered why she had built it all. She pushed through the revolving glass door and felt the cool rush of climate-controlled air hit her face. The lobby of Meridian Tower was exactly what she had asked for when she designed it 8 years ago. Marble floors and a pale cream, high ceilings, natural light flooding in from the east-facing windows. A few people in sharp suits crossed the space with a focused urgency of people who believed their emails were urgent. Behind the front security desk sat a man she did not recognize. He was young, mid-20s, maybe, with a square jaw and a uniform that looked freshly pressed. His name badge read Grant in bold capital letters. He had the particular posture of someone who had recently been given a small amount of authority and was still drunk on it. Shoulders back, chin slightly lifted, eyes scanning every person who entered with a calculating look of someone who believed the lobby was a kingdom and he was its sovereign. Elena walked toward the elevator bank, as she always did, because she had never once in 8 years been stopped in this lobby. "Excuse me." His voice cut across the marble floor like a crack in ice. "I'm talking to you." Elena paused and turned. She looked at him evenly. "Do you have a visitor's badge?" Grant asked, already reaching for the clipboard on his desk as though the question were a formality and the answer was already written down. "I don't need a visitor's badge," she said, pleasantly enough. He made a sound, not quite a laugh, but close enough to be insulting. "Everyone needs a badge. That's policy. Employees scan their key cards. Visitors sign in. You don't appear to have either." He looked her up and down without any effort to disguise it, taking in the linen shirt, the canvas tote, the flat sandals. She watched his face arrange itself into a conclusion. "Are you here for the cleaning staff entrance?" "Because that's actually around the side of the building, on Ferris Street." The lobby was not busy, but it was not empty either. 2 young women from the marketing department stood nearby, waiting for the elevator, and had gone very still in the way people do when they sense something worth watching. A man in a blue tie slowed his walk. Elena felt the eyes without looking for them. "I'm here for the 10th floor," she said. "And the 14th. And I'll be spending some time on the 38th this afternoon." Grant clicked his pen. "Then you'll need to be signed in by whoever you're visiting. I can call up, if you give me a name." "That won't be necessary." "I'm afraid it is necessary." His tone had shifted into something crisper, more official, the voice of a man who had found his footing and intended to stand on it. "This is a high-security building. We don't just let anyone walk in off the street. I don't know who you are." "No," she said, quietly. "You don't." "Look, I don't want to make this difficult," he said, and then proceeded to make it exactly that. "Because." He stepped out from behind his desk and positioned himself between her and the elevator bank, arms loosely crossed, the physical language of a man who had decided he was prepared to cause a scene. "I'm going to need you to either produce a key card, sign in as a visitor, or leave the premises. Those are your options." Elena set her canvas tote on the marble floor. She unzipped it slowly, the way someone does when they are not afraid of what they will find inside. She took out her phone, and she made a call. The man who answered on the second ring was James Okafor, who had been the head of building operations at Meridian Tower for 6 years, who had started when the building was still being finished and the ink on his contract had barely dried, and who knew Elena's voice the way most people know the sound of a fire alarm. Immediately, completely, and with a response that required no translation. "James," she said, "I'm in the lobby. Please come down." She hung up and put the phone back in the tote. She looked at Grant, who was watching her with an expression that had not yet caught up with the situation. "While we wait," she said, and walked calmly to one of the cream leather chairs near the window and sat down, crossing one ankle over the other, setting the tote in her lap. She looked out at the street, at the taxi that had brought her here still making its way through traffic, at the pigeons on the ledge across the road. She had always liked pigeons. People underestimated them. Grant stood at his post with the rigid discomfort of someone who had made a decision they were beginning to reconsider but couldn't find the door out. The two women from marketing had not gotten on the elevator. The man in the blue tie had developed a sudden interest in the building's directory board. James Okafor appeared from the service corridor in under 4 minutes, which was itself a kind of testament to how seriously he took a call from that particular phone number. He was a broad-shouldered man with close-cropped gray at his temples and the unhurried walk of someone who had long ago stopped being impressed by most things. He saw Elena in the chair by the window, and his expression did something complicated, relief and apology arriving at exactly the same moment. "Ms. Vasquez," he said, and the name moved through the lobby like a stone dropped in still water, ripples going outward. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were coming in early today." "It's no trouble," she said, rising. "I was just getting acquainted with your new staff." She glanced briefly at Grant, who had gone the particular color of someone whose blood has decided to leave their face entirely. James followed her gaze to Grant and back to Elena, and in the mathematics of that look, Grant understood, in the sudden, total way that a person understands when the floor has given way beneath them, exactly who was sitting in that lobby chair. "Ms. Vasquez," James said carefully, "is the owner of Meridian Tower, and the Vasquez Group, which is the holding company for this building and 11 others in the city." The lobby had gone very quiet, the kind of quiet that is actually very loud. Grant opened his mouth. He closed it again. He looked at Elena, really looked at her, maybe for the first time. And what he saw now was not a woman in a linen shirt. What he saw was a marble floor beneath his feet and the glass ceiling 4 to 2 stories above and the desk he was standing behind and the badge on his chest. And he understood with the specific, sickening clarity of a man who has just realized he has been standing in the wrong room, treating the wrong person as though she were an inconvenience in a space that she had built. I was following protocol," he said, and it came out smaller than he intended, the way excuses always do when the truth has already filled the room. "You were," Elena said. She picked up her canvas tote. "That part is true." She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. She had learned years ago, in conference rooms where men twice her age talked over her, in meetings where her ideas were credited to other people, in restaurants where she was handed the wrong menu. That volume was the tool of people who had not yet found the sharper instrument. She simply spoke to James in the same measured tone she used for everything, which was the tone of someone who had decided long ago that the story they were telling with their life was more interesting than the story other people had written for them. "I'll be on 38 first," she told him. "I'd like the financials from Q3 before the board meeting if they are ready. And get me a coffee, please, from the 3rd floor kitchen, not the 38th. The machine up there still burns it." "Of course," James said. She walked to the elevator bank. Someone had pressed the button already. The doors slid open, gold-tinted, reflecting back a woman in a linen shirt and flat sandals with a canvas tote over one shoulder, looking not at all like what most people imagine when they imagined a billionaire, which was exactly as she had always preferred it. She stepped in. The doors closed. Grant stood at his desk and the lobby carried on around him, the elevators moving, the suited people crossing the marble, the coffee cart attendant arriving at his post near the east entrance, all of it continuing with the complete indifference of a world that does not pause for anyone's private catastrophe. He knew, before James even turned to look at him, what the conversation that was coming would contain. He could feel it the way you feel weather before it arrives. He was dismissed before lunch. Not loudly, not cruelly. Meridian Tower had an HR department that prided itself on being civilized, but dismissed nonetheless. The paperwork signed, the badge surrendered, the locker emptied, all of it completed by noon. He stood on the pavement outside with a small cardboard box and the specific, heavy feeling of a lesson that has cost more than the student expected to pay. Somewhere on the 38th floor, Elena Vasquez was reading Q3 financials and making notes in her worn paper notebook in the handwriting that her late mother had always called too small to read. In 2 hours, she would walk into a boardroom and every person at that table would rise when she entered. Not because she demanded it, but because she had earned it in the way that very few things are truly earned. By building something real, from nothing, with her own hands and her own mind and her stubborn, patient refusal to become the version of herself that other people's expectations had tried to construct. She did not think about the man in the lobby again that day. She had long since stopped spending her energy on the small moments that were meant to diminish her. There had been too many of them, and she had walked through every single one. And here she was, 42 floors up. The city spread below her like something she had every right to look at, which she did, for exactly 1 quiet minute, before she turned back to her notebook and got to work.